It turns out New Year's resolutions don't have to be a punishment or a self-scolding or just some new way to feel like a failure. There's another way to do resolutions that actually feels good and fills you up. It's basically a punchline at this point to set a New Year's resolution and then immediately abandon it. But against all odds, as a self-growth junkie, every time the new year comes around, I still find myself hoping that this year will be a little bit different, that I will be a little bit different, that my struggles, if not fully evaporated, will at least be new and different. And after a few years of New Year's resolutioning and trial and error, I found a few tips that really work to make my relationships better, to make my quality of life better, to make my relationship to myself better, happier, more fulfilled, and more alive. Let's chat. Whoa, happy 2025, everyone. I missed you over the holiday. I had a really nice holiday, and I always do end up doing a lot of reflecting at the new year. I guess I just get excited. It's an arbitrary time to set a resolution about your life, but whatever, I'll take an arbitrary milestone. I think that it is possible for every year kind of to have a new intention, a new energy, and if the new year feels like the right time to do it, then excellent. But what I think most New Year's resolutions miss is that they usually fail to take into account you as a person who's going to continue changing, continue evolving. I think the better resolutions leave room for the ever-evolving, ever-changing you, so that there's a lot of ways to pursue a goal, and it doesn't feel like it's all in or all out. And I don't think they have to be so big and scary and self-punishing. I think there's a much more enjoyable way to do them, because at the end of the day, that's the point, right? We're not setting a resolution because we're like, well, I want to make the next year miserable. No, we're setting it because we think this goal is going to improve our lives and well-being. So if we can do a little goal and resolution setting while keeping fulfillment and well-being at the center of it, keeping you as a person at the center of it, you can have a lot more success. Let's chat. Something's happening with my bangs. I don't know. I think I have a resolution about my bangs. It looked cool yesterday. I styled them and I slept on them, and I don't know how I feel now, but I feel like it looked cool yesterday. So just take my word on that. One of the first things that's really helped me with setting a resolution that actually goes into effect and improves my life and I can stick with is, instead of choosing a habit, like, the exercise one is so common, or I'm gonna learn Italian. Instead of doing that, try choosing a feeling, because there is a feeling that you think that habit is gonna give you. I want to do all this exercise that I have had a hard time doing before because I think it's going to make me feel better, or I think it's going to give me a sense of pride or accomplishment in myself. So first, focus on what's the feeling you want to have. For me with exercise, the most sustainable exercise goal is I want to choose exercise that I'm going to enjoy. So my resolution is I want to find an exercise habit that I enjoy. That's my goal. And that leaves room for a lot more fluidity. That leaves room for the fact that some weeks, all I feel up to is going for a walk a few times. Great, amazing. That also leaves room for maybe 1 month I do weightlifting, and then at the end of the month, I'm like, okay, I gave that a good try. I'm actually not loving what it does to my knees, or I'm not loving traveling to the gym. So how can I adjust this to make it something I enjoy? And then you get to take that pressure off of oh, I failed at my initial resolution that I was gonna go lift weights in the gym 5 days a week, and you can adjust it to find that thing that you enjoy, find that thing that's sustainable, and there's none of the guilt and shame of having to change course. And there really shouldn't be, because any habit that you want to maintain through a life needs to be something that's not miserable for you. So for me, for example, putting enjoyment as the goal at the center of exercise means I am so much more likely to find a way to continue it through the year. Maybe month 1 in January, I still want to sign up for this Pilates class I've been meaning to try. awesome. If at the end of that month, I don't like the Pilates class anymore, I can adjust it. On weeks when I have my period, I can take it easy. Maybe just do some walks, maybe just do some stretching. And that is still part of my goal. And that allowing for the flexibility and the evolving nature as me as a person, not a robot, is what makes it sustainable, rather than having it this stringent, tight little hallway that you need to walk down and you can't mess up. It is game changing. So put an emotion at the forefront of your New Year's resolution and you'll have very different results. Girl, I'm just gonna give you a suggestion of a resolution that I think a lot of us need this year, especially a lot of the people who watch this channel. I've gotten a sense for the kind of people who watch this channel, and a lot of them are like me, and they really struggle with the trap of needing to always be liked. Now, I had a really interesting conversation actually with one of my editors, Paige, who is editing this video. And we were talking about like different work experiences recently. She'd had this big work project that was a big deal. And I was like, oh, like what's something that you learned from that work project? And she said, I learned that I cannot expect to always be liked if I want to do my job well. Oh my God. Oh my God. As soon as she said that, I about passed out. I know how hard that struggle is. As soon as she said that, I was like, I'm writing that down. That's a resolution for this year. And I know a lot of people watching this need to hear it. Let me just say this once, plain and simple, in case you haven't heard it recently. It is not possible to be liked in every moment by every person. It's not possible, and it's also pretty damaging to you to try and pursue that all the time. The goal is not to be liked at all costs. Sometimes to say something true, to say something helpful, to say something constructive, it might come at the cost of a little bit of your likability. Now, this isn't permission to go and be a dictator. But there is some room there. And I think if you're anything like me, giving up any likability is really, really hard. I've made a career for myself on the internet. Likability is basically my currency. If I lose likability, I won't be employed anymore. So it's very hard for me on the internet. And even on the internet, I know that if I want to say things that matter to me, things that are true, things that I struggle with, things that I think are funny, it's not going to be funny to everyone. It's not going to be interesting to everybody. There's going to be a loss of likability. And I think it's true in general if you want to make like a deep connection with people or at work or in your relationship, maintaining your likability at 100% in all of those areas is actually deteriorating you. And your well-being is the thing that's suffering. You're killing it at work, killing it with friends, killing it with your family. You're the person everyone loves the most and goes to the most and counts on the most. And in the meantime, you're the one crumbling. So I'm not advocating that we all go from being people pleasers to horrible tyrants. But if this topic resonates with you, there's probably like a 2 to 5% that you want to lose some likability and see what you gain instead. And just watch and see how things shift around you. If you're someone who needs to make that change, and you do make that change, the first thing that's gonna happen is it's gonna feel bad. It's gonna feel really uncomfortable. It's gonna feel unknown and not nice. And people might respond weirdly. Don't panic, don't do anything. Just give it a little bit of time and see how things adjust. See how others adjust, see how you adjust. And you know what? You can always go back to striving for 100% likability. There's always time for that. You can always bail and go back if you want. But this is your sign to just try it. Try it. Let's drop those likability points, just a few, and see how it changes your life. I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video, which is TrainWell. So it's essentially a personal training service with a real person that focuses on, accountability. It so supports my feelings and values about exercise, which is that it is something that you can be constantly adjusting to fit your goals. The TrainWell is not about fitness fads. It's about long-term fitness and long-term health. TrainWell believes that every individual is unique, and so should their fitness journey be. You take a quiz to pair you with your ideal fitness trainer. and my trainer, Jill. I've been working with her for over a year now doing workouts. I do calisthenic workouts. She can give me weight machine workouts if I want it. I can do free weights, and I change it up all the time. Some weeks I'm like, I just feel like walking, and we just like track some walking for me. Recently, I wanted to start toning my back and improving my posture, so Jill added in exercises specifically for that. I can do the workouts in my gym, but also at home while I'm watching a TV show with my siblings, or while I'm traveling, when I'm outdoors, literally wherever. And we check in after every single workout, and we're able to adjust it to how I'm feeling. It's really amazing, and it has been the key to having long-term relationship to fitness. And my favorite thing really is that she just gives me exercises when I want them, and I don't have to go doing all the science and research and study to figure out what's gonna get me to my fitness goals. She's an expert, and she just gives it to me. It's 100% personalized to me every single day. It's amazing. TrainWell really embodies everything I believe fitness should be, which is customized to you and focusing on the person, the feelings, the experience, in order to get you through the journey, and not just, abusing you with a list of workouts to do no matter what. That never worked for me, and I don't think that works for a lot of people. I really have had an amazing experience with TrainWell. If you're looking to jumpstart your fitness journey in a way that feels sustainable, long-term, is going to be enjoyable and customized to you, this is the best way to do it. Take the quiz to find your perfect trainer and get 14 days of free training at go.trainwell.net/carolinewinkler. And I'll put the link in the description of this video, or you can scan the QR code on screen. Thanks to TrainWell. I'm alive and breathing, living my best life. Love is so— Oh man. Okay, I don't know about you, but I think most of my resolutions are about interpersonal relationships. Those are the things that really make us happy, fulfilled, or really, really sad. And I think I always have a resolution, or more accurately, an intention for ways I want to improve my relationship with my boyfriend, my relationship with my siblings, relationship with my parents, relationship with my enemies. Even them, they make the list. So there are a couple vocab phrases that really improve my interpersonal relationships if I can work them into my dialogue more. So here are some things I suggest working into your relationships. Number 1, ask, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Start saying this more, especially, I feel like this is one for you and your lover, or someone you're dating. Maybe they're not your lover yet. There is so much miscommunication. There is so much jumping to conclusions, misunderstanding each other. I literally would try and set a goal like 2 times a day. I gotta say, what do you mean by that before I respond? Because I have a lot of guesses about what they mean by that. And guess what? I'm usually always wrong. Almost always. What do you mean by that? It's like you're practicing learning a new language, and you're just practicing saying, where is the restroom, over and over. Get what do you mean by that into your vocabulary on a regular basis, and watch how understanding and connection opens up. Okay, bad boys. Next item on the list is what I like to refer to as the discomfort spectrum. I've talked about this in a video before, but I feel that we all land somewhere on the spectrum of discomfort. You might be someone who's really inclined to always push yourself, always try new things, always risk more, and you never really cut yourself a break. You put yourself in maybe dangerous situations a lot, or you tolerate unhealthy relationships a lot, or you stick around toxic dynamics a lot. You're very comfortable living in discomfort. And then there's other people who maybe they're so afraid of discomfort. Maybe you stay at home all the time, even though you're really lonely, but it's really scary to go make new friends. It would be uncomfortable. Or you would really like to find the love of your life, but the dating and the awkwardness and the not knowing and maybe making a fool of yourself, it's really uncomfortable. So I don't know, maybe I'll just stay home, or maybe I'll just see the people I already know. Or I hate my job, and I've hated my job for years, and I've talked about it for years. I know I hate my job, but God, you know what? I'm actually more comfortable staying in a job that I hate than going into the unknown. That is too uncomfortable. The unknown, the risk. Too uncomfortable. Won't do it. And I think personally, I have parts of both of these in me. I think in certain areas, I'm a lot more prone to discomfort. In certain areas, I'm a lot more prone to always living in comfort. But figure out where you fall on the spectrum and what is your growing edge. So in the past, I put up with a lot of toxic and unhealthy relationships in all parts of my life. And the growing edge for me there was to start setting some limits. Limit it. Allow myself a little more comfort in interpersonal relationships. And on the other end of things, in my work, it's very easy for me to get comfortable. I've been, doing this, making videos. I have a routine, I have a good workflow, and I know what I like to film. And it's very easy to just live in comfort, just live in the status quo. But I know that I won't flourish as a creative person if I don't throw a little discomfort in there, if I don't try some new weird stuff. And I do have a few specific weird, scary work goals personally for the year, which will remain a secret. But just like one or two things that they're going to be annoying to film. They're going to be inconvenient or difficult to film. I don't know how they'll perform, but something is very creatively fulfilling to me there. And so I need to push myself through the discomfort. So find out where you are on the discomfort spectrum. And the intention for your new year might be that you allow yourself a little more comfort, because that's actually the scarier thing for you. You put an end to some of those dangerous relationships, or you limit them. Or the growing edge might be that you've got too much comfort going on and you need to let yourself do some scary things, because that's, spoiler, that's the feeling of being alive. If you're feeling a little depressed and a little doldrummy, like you just don't have a pep in your step, you might need to do something uncomfortable. And I promise you, you're gonna feel a lot more alive at the end of that. Think about the discomfort spectrum. Where do you wanna push for different areas of your life?
I just can't fight the feeling anymore.
Okay, I'll tell you what, instead of a resolution, let me suggest to you a mantra. I love a mantra because it's a short phrase that in just a few words recenters you on your goal or your intention. I love a mantra. If you're looking for a little more peace this year, a little more peace from yourself, maybe you're anxious, so anxious. You show up socially somewhere and you're like, well, I don't know what to do and I don't know how to be and I don't know who I'm supposed to talk to, or maybe I should try this, or maybe I should do this personality, or maybe I'm not sure where to go. For the anxious person, one of my favorite mantras, do less. Do less. Maybe you don't have to do anything at all in this moment. Maybe the fate of this moment that feels difficult and scary is not actually riding on your shoulders exclusively. Maybe you are not tied to doing anything in particular or being any way in particular. Maybe you are here just to receive, just as much as anyone else is here to receive. Do less. Maybe I just get to show up here and receive and experience this moment and just see with curiosity what it has to offer me. That doesn't mean it's going to be great or fun, but maybe I'll come out of it a little less drained and a little less tired. I'm here to receive, and maybe you'll be surprised by what you receive. Mantra number 2 for my anxious babies out there. Sometimes I like to say, I write this on my to-do list. I write mantras on the top of my to-do list because I look at my to-do list probably like 50 times a day. And so I get to see it, get a little flash of it. And then I know they're all there. If I'm having a hard moment, I can just like go look at my list and be like, okay, which of these mantras are helping me now? Here's one. In a hard moment, a stressful moment, an anxious moment, depressing moment, an infuriating moment, try to ask, what would it be like if I could accept this moment exactly as it is? What would it be like? If I could accept, like, wow, this really isn't the family holiday that I wanted it to be. This Christmas with my family is just really heartbreaking. Or this dinner with my friends is just really hurtful somehow. What would it be like if I could accept this moment exactly as it is? For me, there's like a lot of tension that's released then, because the tension and the friction usually comes from me like wanting to force a moment to be something other than it is. And this is really hard for me to do. The accepting the moment as it is, it's really, really hard. I'm not going to pretend like I've conquered any of these, but it can help me if I can remember that mantra. What would it be like if I could just accept this moment in life exactly as it is right now? Oh my God, it's like all the air, all the pressure releases and things shift. Sometimes that's all there is. Sometimes life moments are just really hard or really heartbreaking or disappointing. And the one little gift of peace you can have is to accept it instead of fighting it. Because in my experience, the really hard moments that you fighting it never fixes it. It just makes it really exhausting. What would it be like to accept this moment exactly as it is? And the good news is there's always a next moment and there's always a next feeling. This won't be the last one.
So baby, stay.
I think especially around a lot of body-centric goals, whether it's a weight loss journey or an exercise journey or recovering from your eating disorder journey or getting through your pregnancy journey, I think we do a lot of separating the person from the body in a really unhelpful way. I first experienced this when I was younger and I was recovering from my eating disorder. Bear with me for a moment. I think this is going to connect even with people who didn't have an eating disorder. But for me, having an eating disorder was really just like a symptom of the fact that I was really unhappy, really depressed, really alone, really disconnected, and didn't know like another way to work on my life. That was the distorted logic I had at a young age. And all of a sudden, when my eating disorder became apparent, I had all this attention from my parents and from doctors and physicians and nurses and therapists, and there was all this attention on my body. Take care of the body, be better to the body, let's weigh the body. And I know it was no one's intention, but the way it was treated was like, how dare you have messed up this thing for the body, for this precious body for everybody. And there was this really unhelpful disconnect between the body goals and me. And there need to be some goals for the body so that you can keep this person alive. But I think integrating the person into that is really, really important. I also see this happen a lot with pregnant women. There's all this focus on the belly, the baby. You are suddenly a little bit less of a person is how I see a lot of pregnant women being treated. You're a little bit less of a person, a little bit more of a vessel for this other more important thing. Let's take care of the body. And I think that's really, really difficult to kind of get lost in that separation between you who has needs and your body. I see the same thing with weight loss goals or exercise goals. Too much focus on the needs and the goals of the body and kind of losing sense of the person who has the body, who inhabits the body. It's a nuanced distinction, but anytime I think you have any kind of body related goals, I think there's something really important about like making sure you stay in touch with the person who has that body, staying in touch with you, with your needs, how you feel about the treatment, how you feel about the journey of losing weight or gaining weight or taking care of your pregnancy or working on your exercise regimen. You know, thinking about how you feel and how you relate to it, your emotion in that body-related thing. But that's just my big disclaimer for like body-related goals, and I think we all end up setting a lot of them, is don't lose track of the person when you're so focused on the body. And I hope your resolution really pays attention to your body goals, but also to the person who has the body. You're going to get way farther that way. I found that sometimes a mantra that really hits for me doesn't hit for someone else, or mantras that hit for somebody else and they're like, oh my God, I read this and it rocked my world, like doesn't hit for me. So do a little reading, do a little exploring. I'd love if people commented some of their favorite mantras that recenter them on a goal, because different things hit for different people. But if you're looking for a little more peace this year, this is probably my favorite one. I don't know where this came from. This just like is something I started saying to myself. It's just something I started saying to myself, and I think it's true. Write this down. This helps me a lot. At some point, I just had this thought. I think it's when I was going through, I was going through a hard time, and I'm a fixer, and I always think I have to change something or do something or get myself out of something, when there's all these like surrounding circumstances that I'm not in charge of. I'm not in control of them. How am I going to change them? But I get this idea sometimes that like, well, this isn't the way things are supposed to be. This isn't what is supposed to be happening. This isn't what the course of the plot of my life is supposed to be. According to who? And the truth is, anytime I've thought that in my life, when I'm like, this is the worst thing that could be happening, without fail, like a year or years later, I'm always like, oh, that was the best thing that could have happened. Of course it had to happen that way, because look what came out of it, or look what I learned, or I had to learn that lesson without fail. The hardest times, the times you would never choose. And something that helps me in those moments is to remind myself, you're on the ride you're supposed to be on. Don't steer, just ride. Okay? Because I get this feeling, I have this visual sometimes, like, oh my God, I'm on the wrong train. Or like I think I was really traumatized by the New York subway, and I'd be feeling like I'm on the wrong subway train. I need to switch, I need to get, like, this isn't right, this is not where I'm supposed to be going. But in retrospect, it is. It is where I'm supposed to be going. I've showed up with good intentions. I've showed up with goodwill. I've tried my best. And then there's a lot of things I can't control. You are on the, look at me. You are on the ride you're supposed to be on. Don't steer, just ride. Okay? 2025 is going to be a good ride for you. I promise.
So baby, stay with me.
Remember to check out the link in the description of this video. You can take the quiz to find your perfect trainer and get 14 days of free training with 𝗕𝗥𝗟𝗡𝗧𝗏.
Dream.